Creative Tech Podcast. Hi, I'm Kaori Ray, product designer and author. Our mission is to help people in their career and lives by sharing their creative and technology stories. Okay, let's get started. Hello, Kenny, Satoshi.
Hi.
Yes, thank you so much for attending our interview today. So, could you please tell us your name and what do you do in here?
Sure. So my name is Kenny Lum. I'm the co-founder and co-CEO of LaunchStarz. And LaunchStarz is a company that truly supports Japanese startups and also to help build an ecosystem for Japanese startups to be successful not only in Japan, but in America.
Hi, my name is Satoshi. I'm a co-founder, co-CEO of LaunchStarz. As Kenny said, we support Japanese startups entering to the North American market. And with his and my actual experience in both startup and big corporates.
Your company, LaunchStarz.
Yes.
So, is there in Japanese people in this Tokyo?
Yes. So we have one staff member in Tokyo. And in America, we have two on the East Coast.
And we are located in LA.
Yes.
So we both live in LA.
Yeah.
I see. So, you guys born and raised in LA?
No.
That's a good question.
Could you please tell us?
Yeah, so actually I was born in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia.
Really?
Yes, in Southeast Asia. And when I was 4, my parents decided to move to Vancouver, Canada. So I moved to Canada when I was 4 and I did all of my school and university there. And after I graduated from university, I decided to move to Tokyo, Japan. How about you?
Why?
Why? Oh, good question. Okay. Because I love Japanese culture. And I wanted to really explore living in Japan.
At the time, you were a college student?
Yeah, I was 21 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, 21, and I wanted to just take a break. So I was supposed to do my MBA right out of university. But I told my parents, give me 1 year to take a break, and I'll go to Japan and explore, learn Japanese, and find out more about Japanese culture. And the 1 year turned to 14 years in Japan.
14 years?
Yes.
What did you do?
So in my 14 years there, at first, I started as an English teacher. And then next, I became a manager of 52 schools, English schools. And then at about 23, I started my first startup. So it was my own English school. And we were contracted with the bunka centers. So like Kotoku Bunka Center, Edogawaku Bunka Centers to teach English to all the local people there. And we also contracted with, at that time, is Monbusho or Monkasho, so the education board, and we taught English to professors in Kanazawa University. Yeah, and then, let's see, what else did I do in Japan? I also started my second startup in 2009.
So after you sold the first
Yes, after we sold the first company, I started my real startup in tech in 2009. And we are very lucky. We're the finalists in TechCrunch in San Francisco.
Really?
So we are a Japanese company, and we went to San Francisco in 2009 to pitch on the stage. And after we finished pitching, we came back to Japan, and we ended up selling that company as well. And at that time, Groupon Japan was just growing here. So I joined as one of the very first foreigners in Groupon Japan. And I helped them localize. So I brought a lot of new projects from their head office in Groupon Chicago to Groupon Japan. Yeah, and that's how I spent my time in Tokyo.
I see.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How about Satoshi?
Right, so good question. I was born in Kumamoto, Japan. It's a western area in Japan. And I moved to Belgium when I was 3 years old. And I was put into a preschool. Everybody speaks French, but I couldn't understand anything. But I made some friends over there. And then later I moved to New York in the United States.
Okay, so how old were you when you moved to
United States.
New York?
I was 4 years old.
Oh, okay, super baby. So
Yeah.
you don't remember.
Similar, 4 years old, you moved
Yeah.
to New York, and then I moved to from Malaysia to
And I moved to New York.
Okay.
I stayed there for about 4 years until like 9 years old. I loved it.
You remember?
I remember. Yeah.
This is the point. You remember you
Wow.
were super toddler.
Yeah, about 4 years old to 9 years old. I had so many good memories. So I love United States as much I do Japan. The last day I moved back to Japan after New York. But on the last day of the school, the teacher told me, Satoshi, you have great leadership and will, and keep it up. So that made me super happy. And I did it in Japan. And then my aha moment came into my lifetime. So I had a teacher parent student conference in Japanese school with a Japanese teacher. And she told me, or us, Miyagawa-kun, you need to be a little bit more cooperative with your friends in Japan. So that was my first aha moment that I didn't even change anything because I was just a little boy, 9 years old, but I got totally different feedback on my personality. So that made me very much interested in like a global mindset and meeting different people with different cultural background, learning, different ways of thinking. But since then, I grew up here in Tokyo until I would say almost 30 years old when I had a chance to go back to the United States to study business. So I do speak Japanese. I'm Japanese. But I do have a green card in the United States. That's why I currently live in LA, very close to Kenny.
Yeah, we're neighbors in LA.
Really?
So that's how we started to create this company together because we met in the neighborhood as friends first.
So I moved to LA in 2020 from Japan, from Tokyo to Los Angeles in May, which was during the pandemic. And I had no connections or no friends in LA.
Okay, super recently.
Yeah, just 4 years ago.
Okay.
Just 4 years ago. And luckily enough, one of my friends, which my daughter made, introduced him to me because he knew that my family were from Tokyo during the pandemic and we had no friends over there. So he invited to a picnic in the park. And then this guy showed up.
Oh, really? How about the first impression?
No, it was great. It was a good question. For me, it was great.
Yeah, it was the middle of the pandemic, so there was nowhere to go. All the restaurants were closed. The only place we could meet was the park. So when I met up with Satoshi, I thought that we kind of connected right away because of our passion for helping startups and also because of our international experience. So I spent so much time in Japan and he has spent time in the US, and his dream really is to come here to do a startup in the US. So we started talking and drinking, and the funny part is we started at noon in the park and we finished at midnight. Yes. So after the park, we went over to my friend's house and then we were drinking and talking. And I think the moment that we really clicked was like 10 or 11 o'clock at night. We looked at our LinkedIn profiles and we saw so many overlaps and connections.
Really?
Yeah. Of like 100 people that we had in common.
Wow.
From our startup careers.
Okay, so kind of like similar common people or group community.
Right. We are in the similar communities throughout our entire professional careers.
Yeah.
Although we didn't meet
I
each
guess
other.
the funny stories about overlaps
Yes.
is that when I was living in Japan, my wife was actually working at Citibank in the Shinmarunochi building, and he was working at
one of the biggest insurance company in Tokyo, which is called Tokyo Marine. So that building was right next to the Shinmarunochi building. So we had the common go-to bar in Shinmarunochi building. So we're sure that we met each other, but we didn't talk yet.
Yeah, that was kind of like our first experience of being at the same place at the same time, but never meeting yet. And then our second experience was after I finished working at Groupon Japan, they transferred me to Groupon in Palo Alto. So it was my chance to work in Silicon Valley. And when I worked in the Palo Alto office, it was very funny because 4 blocks down the street, Satoshi was actually at
Stanford. I was studying business at Stanford. I was in an MBA course. At the same time, he was in Palo Alto working for the Groupon. And there are several go-to places.
Yeah, the usual bars or the Japanese restaurant Jinsho. So I'm pretty sure that we were there at the same time, but we still didn't know each other. But still in the same area.
In the community as well.
Yeah.
And then finally in 2020, we met
Yes.
in a park.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's how we met, and that's how we start talking our passion and vision, and how both had the same passion, like how we can support Japanese entrepreneurs as American who love Japan, as Japanese who love startup in US.
Yeah, I think the really good combination for both of us is that we both understand cultures in America as well as in Japan.
Yes.
We both can speak the language of Japanese and English. And I think the best too, and the final piece is our passions and our experience in running companies. So he used to be a CEO in a company in America. I was a CEO in a company in America and Japan. We have a good balance. I focus a lot on business development, on sales, on marketing. And for Satoshi,
I focus on more product or operation or finance. So we complement each other as a team as well.
Amazing.
But we have a common ground as a passion, and vision, and also we did the CEO positions.
yes.
So when you guys met in the park, and then a few days ago, you guys started your company.
That's a good question.
Good question.
Yes.
So we met in the park and we became friends first. And during the pandemic, we couldn't go anywhere. So we decided to do family road trips.
Oh, really?
So as friends, our first road trip is we drove from Los Angeles to Joshua Tree.
Oh yeah.
And it was one of the best road trips ever with our families. Then since it went really well, we decided to go on more road trips to Palm Springs,
Disneyland,
to Disneyland,
Ojai.
Santa Barbara.
So many things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And through all those family trips, we could build our friendship and our trust first. And then from there, we had some opportunities to just help some Japanese startups on the side. We had our day jobs, so we were focusing on that, but there are a few startups that were like, hey, I want to go to America, like, what do I do? So we just started to do that on our personal time together.
Yeah, like using our weekend time or
I see.
evening time.
We say like a side hustle.
Exactly.
The side hustle. But for us, it didn't feel like a hustle because we are passionate. So we are so excited to help them.
Yep. That's how we started. But
Naturally, people asked you, hey, could you please help us like that?
yeah, because that was lucky as well because I was selected in one of the actually Japanese government program 7 years ago to visit Silicon Valley using their support. So which was called Hiyaku program led by METI, the Ministry of Economy and Trade Industry. And I was one of the CEO who actually created a company in the States and hired people and tried to go to the market. So that's why people kind of came to me to see how I did it. Like how did you, create the company? How did you get your visa or bank account, hire people or even fire people? So, since I knew Kenny since 2020, sometimes I kind of borrow his advice as well to support those younger generation who are passionate coming to the States.
Yeah, and then how did you put that name, your company name?
Oh, that's a great question. So LaunchStarz. So we felt that we wanted something very easy and people could recognize with a rocket. So a rocket to do really well and keep growing. So our thought is that we want to launch the stars of Japanese startups. So to help them so they can get to the stars. So launching Japanese stars.
Yeah. With the Z. Not the
LaunchStarz with a Z. Yes.
Why Z?
No, I don't know. Why Z?
I think Z because it really just stood out, and also it's very easy to be like, whenever we meet people, they're like, "Oh, you're LaunchStarz with a Z at the end." So it's just something that's like stands out that they can remember about us.
Yeah, that's right. And also our shortened version of LaunchStarz is LSZ. LaunchStarz. L and S as a star and a Z.
So we like that as like a very short
version as well.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then, so currently you guys have a new project from last year to support women.
Not only women, but all Japanese entrepreneurs.
Yes.
So go ahead.
So it's called Beyond Japan, and we partnered with JETRO, the Japanese government. And when they came to us, they actually reached out to Satoshi because he used to be the poster boy.
Poster boy?
Yeah, he used to be the kind of the success story for a Japanese person to launch their startup in America. So he was the CEO there. So they reached out to him. They're like, hey, we want to launch a new program. We want it to be a little bit different from the previous programs. The previous programs were a lot shorter. They would go there for 2 weeks. They would maybe tour Google, Meta, and go to all these companies and sit down for like a classroom workshop. And then they would fly back to Japan. But it didn't really give them hands-on experience to meet partners, to meet VCs, to pitch in front of people, right? So they came to us and they're like, let's work together to come up with this program. And we're lucky because he's lived and worked in America, I've lived and worked in Japan, and we were helping startups already. So it was very fresh in our mind what they needed. So that's when we came up together and created Beyond Japan. So it was the very first program last year. And we had to really hustle because there are very tight deadlines. But because of our passion, we were able to put the program together. And last year we had it for 3 cities. So if the applicants are selected and they pass the first phase, then they'll be chosen to come to Los Angeles or to Austin or San Diego. And when they come, they're able to work with us and the local accelerators to practice their pitches, to improve their pitch deck, to meet and network at different events. So it was like every day was something new for them to keep them busy. And I think every day helped them, we say, embrace the uncomfortable. So that's kind of our company catchphrase.
Core values.
Embracing
Uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Okay.
So embracing the uncomfortable is like every day. I think one of the startups, we went to a big trade show or conference, and he's like, Kenny, how do I talk to them? Like, I don't know, like Japanese culture is we keep our distance. We don't want to bother them. And I said, you just stand there at the booth. And I said, just walk up to them and say, hi, my name is Kenny. What do you do? And slowly they got over that uncomfortableness. And they became really great at meeting new connections. And that's kind of like one
good example. How we support them. So as Kenny said, we support any Japanese founders, entrepreneurs, or startups who wants to just come to the States. So that's the theme of the Beyond Japan program. And this year we expanded one more city to fully support the aerospace startups. So they will be able to come to Denver and Los Angeles to figure out a way to scale their business in North American or even global.
And I also realized that last year, we had a lot of amazing Japanese startups come out and apply and go to the US. But I also felt that there weren't so many female entrepreneurs and female CEOs. So that's why we really want to ask everyone out there who's a female entrepreneur to apply. Because we truly think it's a great time for Japanese female entrepreneurs, not only to grow their companies here, but to go abroad as well. And I think that's why when you reached out, we felt your passion as well to help female CEOs.
And we do encourage anybody to apply, to be honest. Regardless of your English skill, regardless of your experience in the overseas, we support you. And as he said, if you have passion or kokorozashi in our word, you will be successful, 100% sure.
I see. And then the important things, the deadline is...
The deadline is May 31st.
Next week?
It's in like 9 days or
10
something.
days, Please come to Beyond Japan website.
Come to the website. If you have questions, we have a Q&A session next week, Wednesday.
Wednesday morning.
Wednesday morning. Yes, it's online.
Zoom. Anybody can come. It's 8 a.m. to 8:50. And also not only us, but also one of the executive officers from Jetro will join to answer any of your questions.
So definitely don't be scared to join. And don't be scared to put in an application. I think that's the first step that many people have to get over the barrier to do.
Amazing. And then, so if we, what can I say, apply for the Beyond Japan program 2024. And then if we could pass, so when the program is starting?
Good question. So the selected candidates will be noticed by the end of July.
I see.
And in August, we take 1 month to do the online trainings. So we'll provide the one-on-one with all of you, and also our local accelerators gonna provide you trainings. And then after September, we accept you in United States.
I think the online trainings are really important. So they need to be prepared so that they don't feel worried or uncomfortable when they go to America. So what we do to prepare them could be very basic but important things like fixing their pitch deck, teaching them about business etiquette in America, getting outside of your comfort zone of Japanese business and thinking about how to be like, hey, I'm confident. I believe in my product. This is how I want to pitch. Because I know Japanese style is about respect and is about not being too forward with someone because you don't want to cause any uncomfortableness with them. So we want to give that new mindset for them to prepare them for America.
Right. Everything is opposite. Like I shared in the beginning.
Like your school experience.
So you have to really change your mindset. So we support them fully, prepared before they come to the local programs.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, I have last two questions.
Yes.
Sure.
So next question is, okay, tell us about your dream in 5 years,
Oh,
10 years.
amazing.
Where do you want to live? What do you want to do? Whatever.
I love it. You want to go first?
Oh
or
yeah,
me?
for sure. I can go.
Do it.
I can go. In 5 years, we want to create great ecosystem for the startups, Japanese startups, where everybody can come to the community. I would say ecosystem is like a community. If you have any questions, just come. We connect to everybody who has a good will and a good passion to support them.
And trustworthy.
Trustworthy.
I would say my 5 years dream is very similar to Satoshi's, is that we want to continue to work together, but have an ecosystem that's so big that it doesn't matter if it's Japan or America. It's global. So anyone, let's say in Japan, that wants to go to America, we have an ecosystem to help them. Anyone from America who wants to move to Japan, we have an ecosystem to help them. So I think that is something that's a little lacking now, or we don't have that because everyone is kind of in their own little groups.
I know.
Right? And they're not connected, or they don't, and there could be some events that we don't know about. So how do we connect all these groups so that we can work together? If we do that, we can scale much faster.
Same as you.
We're on the same page.
Yep.
Okay, last question.
All right.
So tell us about your observation. Why Japanese people or Japanese company it's difficult to go expand to the US?
Very good question.
I think Satoshi and I spend a lot of time talking about this. And kind of from our experiences for ourselves and also with the startups we work with. And I think a lot of times it's really just being open-minded and changing your mindset. I think a lot of times when they are working in Japan, it's more about process-driven, making the product perfect before you go out and pitch it or sell it. But I think the mindset in America is like, if you have a great idea, you work really fast. It's okay. Like, let's keep moving. Let's take the step forward and try to sell it. Try to pitch it. It's okay to fail. If you fail once, you fix it and you do it again. And I think for the Japanese mindset is like, I don't want to fail. Because if I fail, then, I can't do it again. I think once they realize if you fail once or twice and you're still totally fine and you can still move forward, it'll be a lot easier for them to be successful.
So the mindset.
Yeah.
So a little bit deep in the mindset topic, I would say how we change those mindset, right? That's gonna be next question. So I would say the information and opportunities are still lacking for the Japanese community. So information-wise, they don't know the true color about US. There are some articles, of course, and there are some people talks about US, but you have to experience by yourself. So that's why we're helping Japanese startups as a LaunchStarz to just come. Hey, we support you. And that's why we run this, Beyond Japan program with the Japanese government to provide such an opportunity so that they can expose themselves to the real, market.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I think one more thing I want to ask is taking risks.
Oh yeah.
So in the past, we don't see so many younger Japanese startups come to America because they go to a good university, they get a good job at a big, famous company, corporate company. Then after 5-6 years, they're like, oh, I think it's time for me to do a startup. It's safe now, I'll do it. So we want to motivate and help younger startups do it. And it was amazing. Last year, we saw at least 2 or 3 startups that were university students. And they decided to go all into their startup. Even though they got into a very good university or they have a chance to work at a very famous company, they decided to take their chance and follow their dreams. And I think that's great. And I think that will start to change and become, we'll start to have more and more younger entrepreneurs in Japan.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay, thank you so much for your time and your wisdom today.
Thank you so much.
Thank
people, please, if you want to check LaunchStarz website and then apply for at least till May 31st.
Yeah, so Beyond Japan program
Yeah.
application deadline is May 31st in Japan time, and we are LaunchStarz.
Yes. I said LaunchStarz. LaunchStarz. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It's okay. That was cool.
Because
That
of
was
the
cute. I know. That's cool.
pronunciation.
That's cool. I thought that's cute.
It's good.
Yeah.
LaunchStarz.
LaunchStarz.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
ありがとうございました。
Thank you so much for listening our Creative Tech podcast today. We hope our story to help your career and life. See you soon. Bye bye.